Hi, this is Justin Elliott with TPM Media. I'm here with Jeremy Ben-Ami, the director of J Street at the 92nd Street Y in Manhattan, for a panel on why we need a liberal Israel lobby. Thanks for being with us, Jeremy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So the first question I want to ask is, J Street obviously formed while there was a presidential campaign going on. You were involved in, you have a PAC giving donations to congressional candidates. So can you give us a sense of what J Street is doing now that we're in a non-election time and with the new Obama administration?
The leverage that we built up by having a PAC and making endorsements and proving to people that there is political support for our viewpoints, we are taking that political capital and using it as a lobby. And we have, in addition to the PAC, a 501c4 lobby that allows us to work in Congress and to try to develop support for assertive American diplomacy in the Middle East.
Are there specific initiatives that you're working on right now?
The big picture is that we want to provide political space for Barack Obama and for the Obama administration in Washington to pursue diplomacy, because ultimately it's a presidential issue. But in Congress, what we're doing is on the House side, we have a resolution commending the appointment of George Mitchell and backing a two-state solution. And in the Senate, we have had, we worked very closely with Senator Feinstein's office on a letter also supporting a two-state solution and backing up Hillary Clinton's mission most recently regarding Gaza aid.
So last week there was a flare-up surrounding, or went back several weeks, surrounding the Israel-Palestine issue, which was Chaz Freeman, the administration's pick to be the head of the National Intelligence Council, withdrew after a campaign against him by sort of the right-wing pro-Israel community. Do you think that says anything about what we're going to see in this administration? I mean, he didn't get much support from public support from Robert Gibbs or the administration. What's your assessment of that whole episode?
Well, I think it's a really unfortunate example of the absolute worst of this issue in America. On the one hand, you had a group of people who don't know that much about Chaz Freeman, but know that he's criticized Israel, basically coming out and saying that makes him not qualified to hold the office that he was up for. And then you have a group of people who don't like the influence of a so-called Israel lobby, who, without knowing much about Chaz Freeman, come out and start defending him. And essentially he becomes a political football, and we lose sight of the merits of the nomination. We lose sight of whether or not he actually is a good candidate for the office, and I think it just showed everything that's wrong with the way the issue plays out. We at J Street didn't take a position on Chaz Freeman. We didn't really have a position on Chaz Freeman, just as we haven't on 99% of the appointees that have been made in this administration. But it's just very unfortunate that you lose sight of the substance and everything becomes an immediate political football when it comes to this issue.
So, the title of the panel is why we need an liberal Israel lobby. If we're going to have that, and if J Street is going to be part of that, do you think such a liberal Israel lobby should jump into a fight like that and defend a Chaz Freeman? Do you regret that J Street didn't get involved while it was going on?
Well, I don't think we should knee-jerk jump in and defend anybody who's attacked by people that we disagree with. Just because somebody is the enemy of my enemy doesn't make them my friend, right? And so I would say at this point still that it's not clear that Chaz Freeman was good or bad, that it was the right pick for this. We don't have an opinion on that. So, and just because a group of people that we don't necessarily agree with came out against him doesn't mean that we have to automatically be for him. So I don't regret not getting involved in it. I think, in fact, neither side should have gotten involved in it, and we should have allowed the proper process to move forward and decide if he was appropriate.
I read a blog post that you wrote at Huffington Post earlier this month about Avigdor Lieberman, and you posed the question in that post, what should American Jews who typically support Israel do about the rise of Avigdor Lieberman? And today there was the news, or maybe it was yesterday, that he is now the foreign minister designate of the new Israeli government. So that question obviously has more relevance now. Do you have any thoughts on the answer to that question, or about you personally or the American Jewish community at large?
Well, first of all, I would give it another 48 to 72 hours to see whether or not he actually is going to be the foreign minister. There's still the final stages of the negotiations are taking place, so that's not 100% set. I think it's a really serious problem for Israel, and I think it's a really serious issue for the American Jewish community to deal with. I think that we can't sit back and be quiet when somebody is put forward as the public face of the State of Israel, whose values we don't share, and who undermines our interests both as Americans and as American Jews. So I think American Jews need to make it very clear that even as we support Israel, even as we want to help it survive and help it be secure, that we're not going to say we agree with everything that happens in Israel, and we don't agree with everybody who's going to take public office. And that's certainly true of the types of things that Lieberman stands for.
Can you just give us a broad assessment of your view of the Obama administration on this issue so far? Is there anything particular that they've done that JSTRS has liked, or anything that you wish they were doing that they're not?
Well, the two things I would say are terrific. One is the president promised that from day one he would engage on this issue and he would make it a priority. And the very first set of phone calls he made were to the 4 leaders in the area, starting with Mahmoud Abbas. And so the engagement is there. The fulfillment of that commitment is there. The second thing is the appointment of George Mitchell, who is the prototype of an envoy, a fair, balanced envoy who can really help the parties get to peace. And that's what we wanted in an envoy. We didn't want a lawyer for Israel, a lawyer for one side over the other. We needed an envoy who's going to be able to bring peace to 2 people.
So any negatives yet?
So far, no. And we'll have to see. The proof will be in the pudding, and the tough decisions are in the next 9 to 12 months, I think.
Okay, Jeremy, thank you very much for being with us. Justin Elliott with TPM Media. We'll talk to you soon.